Nobody wants to be in debt, right? After all, almost everyone knows how bad and difficult it can be, especially in this day and age. I mean, in this era where thousands of liras can be spent and thousands of liras of debt can be accumulated within minutes. Yes, it's much easier to be in debt nowadays. I believe we are all aware of this reality. Just thinking about our credit cards that sit prominently in our wallets, with limits far exceeding our salaries, is evidence enough of the severity of the situation. In other words, we have the freedom to accumulate debt that we may not be able to pay off within seconds without even having to get up from our seats. Today, it is truly, truly easy to be labeled as indebted. All right, it's true that being in debt is easy, but where am I trying to get with all these words? Anticipating your unanswered question, let me respond right away. Yes, borrowing has become incredibly easy in today's world, to the point where it can be likened to child's play. And I'm sure that many of you have taken advantage of this convenience, are currently benefiting from it, or are about to do so. So I know that there are countless individuals among you who can be labeled as debtors. All right, there's nothing wrong with that. However, the real issue lies not in getting into debt, but in the actions we take while being in debt. In other words, the problem lies in what we do as debtors. Yes, perhaps we make a mistake by getting into debt in the first place. And unfortunately, we continue to compound this mistake by making even bigger ones, which are things we should never do while being in debt. So what are these mistakes? Although you may already be familiar with them, I suggest we go through these errors together under the following headings. Behold, the mistakes you should never make as someone in debt. 1. Going on vacations that exceed your budget. Mom, somehow you may have ended up in debt. You might have gone on a shopping spree with money you didn't have or found yourself in debt due to an unexpected situation. Since it's already too late, the reason why you got into debt doesn't really matter, right? Therefore, let's talk about things you should avoid doing while being in debt, like going on vacations that exceed your budget. I wanted to address this topic first because the current times are quite tempting for making the expensive vacation mistake. You see, as you look at the posts on social media showcasing crystal clear waters, lush green forests, and parties that last until the morning, I believe you yearn to forget about your debt. After all, who among us doesn't want to immerse themselves in cool waters during these oppressive summer days? Naturally, we all have similar dreams. Debtors are no exception. However, individuals in debt need to be a bit more cautious in this regard. Because if you forget about the debt that is already waiting to be paid off and go on expensive vacations just for the sake of enjoyment, you will eventually feel the pain as if every cell in your body has been sunburnt to the 3rd degree. Take it from me. 2. Lending money to others. Although I still don't understand those who make this mistake, unfortunately, lending money to others is also among the mistakes made by debtors. Just imagine, while you have outstanding debts waiting to be paid, you still go and give your money to someone else. In other words, you're doing something that you shouldn't be doing at all. Okay, maybe you don't want to disappoint your friend who is asking for a loan, or you can't refuse the person standing in front of you, crying and asking if you can lend them some money. But you need to realize that this kindness of yours can harm you. Even if your financial situation is good, you should think a million times before lending money to someone in this day and age. Appreciate the value of your money and be cautious. Otherwise, in the future, you may find yourself in a position where you have to ask others for a loan. Please don't do it. Know the worth of your money and think multiple times before lending money to anyone, even if you have no debts. Otherwise, you may end up being the one asking for loans from others. 3. Spending on things that can be deemed unnecessary. Another mistake you should avoid as a debtor is spending on unnecessary things. Especially during the period when you are in debt, you should refrain from unnecessary expenses until you have paid off or reduced your debts. For instance, you can temporarily forget about going to the cinema every weekend or refrain from spending money every time you finish work. You should abandon the habit of shopping just for the sake of it and avoid reaching into your pocket for things that are beyond your needs. If you really want to spend money on frivolous things, do it after you have cleared your debts. Otherwise, you should not allow the hole in your budget to grow even bigger. because after a while it may become impossible to close that gap. 4. Making changes in your lifestyle. By this, I mean making changes that will affect your life both financially and emotionally while you are in debt. For example, attempting to change your job while being in debt, or engaging in the process of moving to a new house, starting a new course, or trying to start a business when your financial situation is not favorable. Yes, if you have debts, you should also avoid making changes that could negatively impact your life. So, okay, maybe changing your job at a normal time could be really beneficial for you. But you may not achieve the same outcome when you have pending debts to be paid. In other words, if you're going to make a change in your lifestyle, do it after stabilizing your financial situation, not when your budget is in turmoil. 5. Hiding your debts from loved ones. Another mistake you should avoid is hiding your debts from your loved ones. You shouldn't hesitate to tell your spouse, partner, children, or close family members about your debts. Especially keeping it a secret from your spouse can only make things more difficult for you, and you should be aware that lying about it will not make your life any easier. In fact, I must emphasize that this kind of behavior will not only harm you financially, but also emotionally. By keeping this information from them, you undermine their trust in you. Moreover, since they are unaware of your situation, you won't be able to explain yourself to them, and your mysterious behavior may be interpreted in different ways. To avoid all these complications, I urge you not to make the mistake of hiding your debts from your loved ones. Most likely, the truth will come to light sooner or later. 6. Ignoring unpaid bills or legal notices. Here's another mistake you should never make. If you're in debt, you must understand the seriousness of your situation. Instead of deceiving yourself with phrases like, "Oh well, debts will eventually be paid. Who doesn't have debts these days?" You should prepare effective plans to pay off your current outstanding debts and acknowledge the potential consequences of the deficit in your budget. In other words, you should take a good look at the bills, payment schedules, and even legal notices piling up on your table, realizing that debt is not something to be taken lightly. Otherwise, you'll suffer significant consequences as a result. 7. Pretending to have money. Yes, this is another mistake that some debtors make. Despite not having a penny in their pocket, some people don't hesitate to act as if they have stacks of money. You see, some individuals with a load of unpaid debts will go and buy expensive gifts for their partners. Others take their families to high-end restaurants, thinking that they're making them happy with money they don't actually have. They might also hesitate to admit their debts among their friends, but find themselves obligated to participate in expensive gatherings and events. Or they simply continue living a luxurious lifestyle just to satisfy their own desires. Unfortunately, there are plenty of people around us who act as if they have tons of money despite being in debt. I hope you're among those who don't make this major mistake. We've reached the end of this video. If you found it helpful, don't forget to like and subscribe to our channel. Press the bell icon to stay updated on our new videos. See you in the next video. Goodbye.